Heinrich Muller was one of the most powerful men in Nazi Germany, head of the Gestapo, and present in Hitler's bunker until the very end. Then, in May 1945, he disappeared. No remains were found, no verified sightings emerged. For 80 years, intelligence agencies and historians have searched for answers to one question: how does a man this powerful simply vanish? Heinrich Muller was born on 28 April 1900 in Munich, the capital of Bavaria. At age 17, before the start of the First World War, he completed an apprenticeship as an aircraft mechanic. In 1917, as the war entered its final phase, he joined the Royal Bavarian Army, serving in the Luftstreitkräfte as pilot for an artillery spotting unit, receiving several decorations for bravery. After Germany's defeat in November 1918, Muller returned to a nation shaken by revolution. Bavaria was one of the most unstable regions. Left-wing uprisings in Munich created a brief Bavarian Soviet Republic, and counter-forces battled for control throughout 1919. Muller joined the Munich police during this period, serving in the political branch. He took part in quelling several uprisings, earning a reputation for reliability. His reports were clear, structured, and free of personal language. Senior officers noted that he followed orders without hesitation, a trait that helped him advance. By the early 1920s, Muller was part of the Bavarian state police. His daily work involved monitoring political groups across Munich. This included early contact with the Nazi Party. Muller was present during the aftermath of the Beer Hall Putsch in November 1923, when Adolf Hitler and his followers tried to seize power. Although Muller was firmly anti-communist, he kept a professional distance from all political movements, including the Nazis. His reports from the time show no personal sympathy for them. Instead, he focused on identifying threats and enforcing state security. Throughout the late 1920s, Muller's career in the political police deepened. He specialized in surveillance, interrogation, and the analysis of political threats. His superiors valued his administrative skills. He understood filing systems, cross-referenced documents accurately, and maintained strict control over information. The turning point came in January 1933, when Hitler became chancellor. Soon after, Erwin Göring reorganized the Prussian police and created a new political force, the Geheime Staatspolizei, or Gestapo. Muller was recruited due to his experience in Munich and his strong record against communist groups. He moved to Berlin and joined the organization during its earliest phase. His precise reporting and ability to manage large intelligence files quickly made him stand out. By the mid-1930s, Muller caught the attention of rising security leaders, including Reinhard Heydrich, who was building the Sicherheitsdienst. Heydrich valued Muller's methodical approach and placed him in positions that demanded strict administrative control. Muller joined the SS in 1934 and became a dependable figure within Berlin's expanding security network. By 1938, he had earned a reputation as one of the most capable administrators in the German political police. When World War II erupted in September 1939, Muller became one of the most powerful officials in Nazi Germany's security system. That year, he was appointed head of Amt IV, the division of the Reich Main Security Office responsible for the Gestapo. The RSHA combined intelligence, policing, and administrative oversight into one structure. From the RSHA headquarters in Berlin, Muller coordinated the daily work of thousands of officers. His responsibilities ranged from reviewing intelligence reports to directing investigations across occupied Europe. His command of information made him central to the regime's internal security operations. As the war expanded, so did Muller's responsibilities. He oversaw investigations in opposition networks, resistance groups, and individuals considered a threat by the Nazi leadership. His department monitored occupied territories, coordinated with field offices, and reviewed information from the Abwehr, Sicherheitsdienst, and foreign police agencies. Muller was deeply involved in the machinery of repression inside Germany. particularly against those accused of treason or espionage. Relations within the security apparatus were often tense. Muller respected Heydrich, but often clashed with Ernst Kaltenbrunner, who preferred loyalty and ideological commitment over Muller's bureaucratic strictness. Muller's lack of ideological enthusiasm made some leaders distrust him, yet his efficiency kept him indispensable. After Heydrich's death in June 1942, Muller worked under Ernst Kaltenbrunner, the new head of the RSHA. One of Muller's most visible roles came after the 20 July 1944 attempt on Hitler's life. When officers led by Klaus Stauffenberg tried to kill the dictator at the Wolf's Lair, Muller was tasked with identifying and tracking down the conspirators. His office coordinated interrogations, arrests, and the rapid investigation that followed. His work contributed to the collapse of the resistance network and the arrest of thousands of individuals. His control of information made him one of the most informed men in Nazi Germany. By early 1945, Muller had become essential to the collapsing regime's efforts to maintain order. As Berlin braced for the advancing Soviet forces, Muller continued to direct his department from within the capital. His final months in office would lead him into Hitler's bunker and into the mystery that still surrounds him. By April 1945, Berlin was collapsing under the weight of the Soviet advance. Government agencies evacuated, but Muller stayed in the capital. As head of the Gestapo, he believed his place was near the center of power. In mid-April, he moved into the Führer bunker complex beneath the Reich Chancellery. One of his last documented tasks was the interrogation of Hermann Fegelein, Himmler's SS liaison officer, after news emerged that Himmler had tried to open peace talks with the Western Allies behind Hitler's back. Fegelein was questioned in a cellar near the bunker and later shot after Hitler stripped Himmler of all his posts. The episode underlined how deeply Muller was still involved in internal security, even as the regime was collapsing. Muller worked from the smaller administrative rooms off the main corridor. His role in the bunker focused on internal security, intelligence updates, and protection of sensitive records. Every morning, he reviewed intercepted communications, troop reports, and the status of Berlin's defenses. Hitler's secretary Trottel Jung later recalled seeing Muller on 22 April and noted that he had effectively taken over some of Ernst Kaltenbrunner's duties as head of the RSHA. Jung and Rochus Misch both remembered seeing Muller again on April 30th, the day Hitler took his own life. During these days, Muller had frequent contact with Wilhelm Mohnke, who served as the bunker's military commander. Muller also interacted with Martin Bormann, who relied on him for security assessments. According to post-war testimonies, Muller briefed Joseph Goebbels on the state of resistance groups, fearing that opposition networks might try to exploit the chaos. He also monitored the loyalty of remaining personnel, concerned about desertions as the situation worsened. Several bunker survivors later mentioned Muller's calm, almost detached demeanor. He kept his uniform neat, maintained a strict office routine, and carried folders between meetings as if the government were still functioning. His authority came not from rank, but the vast amount of information he controlled. In a system built on secrecy, Muller understood the scale of what he knew and the danger it posed after the war. The last reliable sighting of Muller occurred on 1 May 1945. Witnesses placed him still inside the bunker complex that afternoon. After that point, accounts diverge. Some state he left towards the Reich Chancellery Gardens. Others claimed he moved into an adjacent shelter. A few witnesses suggested he inspected bodies near the exit, though these statements are inconsistent. No confirmed document places Muller outside the bunker after 1 May. In a place where dozens of senior figures died, surrendered, or escaped, Muller simply vanished. When the war ended in May 1945, Allied intelligence agencies expected that Heinrich Muller would be among the top Nazi officials brought into custody. As head of the Gestapo, he possessed knowledge of internal security operations, foreign intelligence contacts, and the regime's most sensitive files. Yet he was not found among the prisoners taken in Berlin, nor was his name on any Soviet lists.
early weeks, both the U.S. Counterintelligence Corps and the Soviet NKVD launched independent searches. Early leads pointed in different directions. In the summer of 1945, some German prisoners told U.S. investigators that Muller had been seen dead near the Reich Chancellery. Others insisted he had been taken by Soviet troops. American officers searched hospitals, morgues, and detention centers across Berlin, but found no confirmed match. The search was complicated by the fact that Heinrich Muller was a common name, and there were even 2 SS generals with that name. The Soviets offered no clear information. They claimed Muller was not in their custody, but Western agencies doubted this. In the late 1940s, the Counterintelligence Corps and its successor agencies widened the hunt.
They checked former Gestapo officers, searched the home of Muller's wartime mistress, Anna Schmidt, and gathered reports from across occupied Europe. With the onset of the Cold War, priorities shifted. By the early 1950s, many officials quietly assumed Muller was dead, even as his name continued to appear in war crimes files. The mystery, however, did not disappear. Former SS officer Walter Schellenberg later claimed Muller had defected to the Soviet Union and been seen in Moscow in 1948, though he offered no verifiable details. During the 1960s, new rumors surfaced. The capture of Adolf Eichmann in 1960 renewed interest, and Eichmann told his Israeli interrogators he believed Muller was still alive. In 1961, Polish defector Michael Galeniewski reported that Soviet superiors had told him Muller had been picked up and taken to Moscow around 1950-1952, but U.S. investigators were unable to confirm his story. West German authorities also pursued more concrete leads. They investigated reports that Muller's body had been found and buried shortly after the fall of Berlin. One account came from Walter Lüders, who said he had helped bury an SS general's body with Heinrich Muller's papers in a grave at the old Jewish cemetery on Gross Hamburger Strasse. In 1963, a grave at that site was examined, but the remains were mixed and inconclusive. Later claims placed Muller in cities as far away as Czechoslovakia, Brazil, Paraguay, Argentina, and even Panama, where a man named Francis Willard Keith was briefly suspected of being Muller until fingerprint evidence cleared him. In 2001, the United States released the CIA's Muller file under the Freedom of Information Act. The document showed that American agencies had searched for him for years but never found a trace. The U.S. National Archives later concluded that the file was clear on one point. The CIA and its predecessors never made contact with Muller after the war. The report noted that there were strong indications but no proof that he died in Berlin, and equally strong indications but no proof that he might have been used by Soviet intelligence.